Welcome to the Co-Tutorials channel. This is going to be separate from my main channel where I go over how-tos and the practical application of the things that I talk about. So specifically, that's around AI and how to use it better than other people, building a personal brand, writing content, business stuff, all of that fun stuff, the actionable strategies that you can actually use that probably aren't going to go viral, aren't going to do too well like they would on my main channel, but I feel like there are people who actually want to watch this stuff. So in this video, we're going to go over how to use AI to build a personal brand in 30 days or however long it takes you. We're going to go over a few strategies. And as you can see here, I have things preloaded into a Canvas template for you. So you can just go straight in and start using this, or you can duplicate it so you can overview all of this stuff. And if you understand what Eden is, this is all in Eden. Look at that sweet dark mode that we just added, and we enhanced the canvas feature a ton. But in order to understand how to build a personal brand with AI, we're not just going to have an agent do this all for us, because the purpose of a personal brand and what's going to survive in the future is the human aspect of it. So we can use AI in a few ways to help us do that, but we're not just going and having it build an account for us, write content for us, all of that stuff. This is also for the creatives who want to use AI, but don't want to outsource all of their thinking and creativity to AI. And that's exactly what this canvas right here is for. You can see there's AI chat nodes here, and there's even AI image generation nodes and audio generation and video generation and batch image generation if you want to do everything in one place. But the Canvas feature in Eden was meant to be this place for intentional work to be done with AI. So before we start building a personal brand with AI, we just need to understand a better way to use AI, because the way most people use AI is they open ChatGPT or they open Claude and they ask a question or they tell it to do something and they treat it like a glorified Google search, which has its use cases. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing at all. I'm just saying when you're trying to get something done and you're trying to get it done at a level of quality that the base AI isn't going to give you, no matter how intelligent the new models are, which we'll understand in a bit, this is how you do it. And so I call this the 4C framework, how to get better at AI instantly. And there are more advanced ways to use AI that we'll talk about, but for the beginner who just doesn't get the best results from AI or doesn't know that there are better ways to go about using AI, this is a good framework to start with because it'll teach you a lot just by using it. So the 4 C's are context, clarification, creation, and concerns. And so these are what you want in almost, I would say, every AI chat when you're trying to actually accomplish something or do something. Now, these don't always come in order, like you don't always go context, clarification, creation, concerns. It can go in any which way, but you're trying to check the boxes for each. So what do each of these mean? Context is what the AI needs to know in order to get a good result. So as an example for building a personal brand, if you just ask the AI to build a personal brand for you, or to say like, hey, help me build a personal brand, it's pulling from all of these different opinions across the internet. What I mean by that is it's pulling from information that may not be applicable to you, and it may not be the best strategy, because when you think about creative work or you think about something like content creation, everyone has their own way of doing it, and everyone has their own best way of doing it, right? I create content differently from the next guy, and I would argue that my framework for creating content is pretty good and it's personal to me. What I'm saying is that if you ask AI to do something like this for you, this specific type of task, you're not going to do that well because it's not your specific framework. It's not even a good framework at that. You're gambling at that point. So the questions here are, what does AI need to know? What will it not consider when you ask a specific question, and what will ensure top quality? So for building something like a personal brand, you need to feed it, you need to do one of two things. You need to feed it information like a YouTube video or a PDF that has a very good way of building a brand or building a personal brand, which we're going to do over here. I've curated these 3 videos for you that we can pull from. The other way to do it is to just ask AI specifically and refine the context before you start chatting. So I can say, hey, what are the 5 best ways to build a personal brand? And I can read through those, see which apply to me the most, and say, okay, we're going to go with this one. And now it has that context, so it's not grasping at straws. So the next C is clarification. So what are you actually trying to do? What's the scope? What are the boundaries? What questions will ensure quality? This usually comes from asking clarifying questions or having the AI ask you clarifying questions. So when you're building something like a personal brand, there's so many things where it needs your input, right? If it says, okay, in order to build a personal brand, you need to write 3 types of content, you need to post 3 times a day. Okay, where are those ideas coming from? Are you just going to have the AI generate the ideas, or are you going to have it ask you for what ideas you think are most potent, and then are you going to refine it from there? And if this doesn't make too much sense yet, it makes sense in practice when you actually do it, right? That's another problem with both AI software like Eden or ChatGPT or Claude, or really anything, is people go into it and they're like, well, I thought this was just supposed to solve all of my problems. I don't know what to do. It's the same thing with Notion. You go into Notion, you're like, I don't know what to do. There's so many different things that I can do in this software. It's because you don't have something to do. It's because you don't know what you want to do. You're waiting for someone like me in this video to give you a step-by-step framework rather than going in, tinkering, experimenting, and having a goal to work towards where you can build something like this on your own. Now, the third C is creation. So the AI at this point should have enough context that you've given it by chatting with it to actually create something. So what's the outcome you're going for, right? Is it a guide? Is it a blueprint? Is it a conversation? For creative work or generating ideas, it's more than likely going to be a conversation, right? Unless you just want it to spit out a bunch of content ideas based on a YouTube video that you fed it. And we have examples down here. So for defined busy work, we're actually going to have an OpenClaw style agent, custom agents inside of Eden that hook up via Telegram in like a week or so, maybe less. But that's not necessarily for like ideating or conversing back and forth. That's for telling it to go do something that you know you want it to do. I can send a voice message and say, hey, go research this, and this person, these competitors, and give me back a detailed guide. It's not the best for actually doing work for you. And then in this case, you'd use a conversation for creative work or structured output for learning. So I can tell it to create a blueprint, a guide, whatever it may be. Now for the previous part, so clarification, like it needs your own ideas. It needs your taste and preferences. It needs your direction, or else you're just letting it make too many assumptions. You're not in control. And it's no wonder that the quality of the output is going to be bad. It's no wonder you can't get results with AI because you're not treating it like an employee that you have to train. Now, the 4C is concerns. So after you've actually done the work, after you have something to work with here, you have to understand that there are still assumptions that the AI made, and there are blind spots that you have that you may not be aware of. This is arguably the most important part of conversing with AI, is just asking, what are my blind spots here? What are the things that I'm not noticing? What's missing or what's not right? What holes can we poke in this argument if you're coming up with a content idea or you're refining a newsletter, things of that nature. And as mentioned, this is where you learn the most. So now we need to take that and apply it to building a personal brand, which is what we're going to do here. So you can see inside of this canvas, I have saved 3 videos. One is how to build a profitable personal brand in 30 days. I just went to YouTube and searched for this, and I know Matt Gray. I also have a podcast from Seth Godin, and I have a video from Caleb Ralston, who is also very knowledgeable when it comes to building a personal brand, right? I would rather trust Caleb Ralston than I would just a general AI to help me build a personal brand. So I'm adding them here so I can get their knowledge, right? That's the context phase. We have to load the context into the chat first. Now, there are 2 things that we can do here. The first is how are we actually going to build the personal brand? We're going to take one video like this, and then we're going to break it down into a guide that pretty much teaches you how to build a personal brand according to this video. We don't need the entire video. We just need the specific parts. That way we can refine it as well. And what we're going to do with that guide is we're going to then take the output and turn it into a prompt, right? And I'm not just saying, hey, turn this into a prompt. I'm using what's called a meta prompt, which is a prompt that helps you create better prompts, right? So this is the most valuable thing in my entire workflow is being able to take this and create prompts with it so that I can reuse them. And inside of Eden as well, we actually have this as a feature. So whether you create a new chat in the sidebar here, or you're just chatting inside of a canvas, you can click create prompt, and then it'll walk you through creating a very good prompt. And you'll understand the power of this once we actually do it. But what we're doing there is we're creating a guide from the video, which teaches the AI how to build a personal brand. And then we're turning that into whatever kind of prompt we want. In this case, we're going to turn it into a prompt that coaches us on how to build a personal brand. So that way you have a personal brand coach and you don't have to pay $5,000 to be mentored or coached by someone. Not that there's anything wrong with $5,000. And sometimes that can be useful, but if you are strapped for cash and still want a very powerful mentor, you have all of the information online that you can turn into a prompt that can coach you. And so if we do this correctly, it will coach you on coming up with your brand, your target audience, your content strategy, and then even further, it can help you start writing content one-on-one, right? You're not going about it blindly anymore. You're working with a very smart AI that guides you through it. And the second thing you can do here is we're only doing that with one video. With all of these videos, I have it inside of what's called a section here, and I can connect the entire section to an AI chat. So if I want to just converse about my brand and ask if something is a good or a bad idea, I can do so inside of here. Now, the last thing we need to go before we actually start doing this is I've included a snippets and prompts document inside of here. So you can click and highlight any of these. We're going to use these in order where you can highlight this specifically. And then when you click the ribbon icon, you can save it as a snippet. And then what you can do with the snippet is you can then access it via the slash menu at any time to paste that thing in. This also helps with having templates for your notes or your documents or whatever it may be, but I like to use it for prompts specifically. Now, one that we're not going to go over, but I wanted to give you just in case because it's very helpful, is my conversation prompt. So whenever I have an idea or I'm writing a newsletter or I'm writing content, I like to be as truthful as I can. I like to have a very well-structured argument, right? And sometimes the ideas that come to my brain that I just want to tweet out or write about aren't those things. So what I do is you can save this as a snippet, but I paste this into the AI as my prompt. And then I tell it what idea I want to converse about, and it stress tests it, it pokes holes in it for me, it notices my assumptions, it just challenges me so that I can have these better ideas that I've culminated over time. So the first thing we're going to do is actually take this first one here, I'm going to copy this, then we're going to go up to this first chat, and I want to turn this video into a guide. And for the YouTube videos, you can just copy it from YouTube and then Command V or paste it inside of the canvas and it will show up. And then you can do something like drag this, create new chat. You probably wouldn't generate an image from this video, but you can do that if you want. But now that this video is loaded into context, I'm actually going to open this full screen as well, and we're going to paste it. And then you can choose whatever model you want. I'm just going to go with the auto model right now, but you can choose whichever you please. And then we're going to hit send and wait for that to happen. So we're going to paste this into this chat, and you can choose whatever model you want here. I'm just going to use the auto model, but choose whatever model you want, and then we're going to hit send, and then we'll just wait for it to do stuff. So now it's creating the guide, and if we did this correctly, it should just show up here once it's done. But what the prompt actually was that we sent is create a comprehensive guide that teaches me this topic step by step. It should be detailed enough that if I were to give it to AI, it would be able to execute on that information perfectly. So what we're doing here is we're just narrowing the context more. We're making something very potent that we can turn into a prompt or give to AI and in any other circumstances if we want to talk about building a personal brand, especially in 30 days. All right, so that took a bit of time, but it wrote the guide to building a personal brand here, and then it spat out the actual note/document here and saved it to my workspace. Inside of Eden, you can choose where items that are created in Canvas go, but it took long because this is actually very big. It's pretty big, so it's comprehensive, right? Now we want to turn this into a prompt. So the way that we're going to do this, and because I don't know what you would call it, OCD about how my canvases are, what we're going to do is we're going to turn it into a prompt that coaches us now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new chat with this meta prompt selected. And I'm not going to connect this yet because I don't want them to overlap. I'm going to feed them in as they come, but I'm just going to say, help me build a prompt, and we'll start there. All right, so it read through that, and here it's just asking me a few questions, and I'm just going to say something else. What's the expected output format? I'm just gonna skip through all of these, honestly. And I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna put this one here, and then I have this note down here, the personal brand prompt creator. I wrote this beforehand just so I don't waste your time with rewriting it on the screen, but we'll go over this. So I'm gonna pop this in here, and what it says is I want to create a prompt that is my personal brand coach that helps me execute on this 30-day action plan. Structure the prompt in multiple phases. This is how I like to create prompts, is phase by phase. So usually in 2 phases, that's all you need. The first is context gathering, right? The clarifying questions portion of what we talked about in the 4C framework, where when building a personal brand, it needs to understand me. It needs to understand what I want to do. So in phase 1, I'm saying, help me understand who my customer avatar is, help me understand what topics to write about, help me generate a list of content ideas to grow a following, generate a full content strategy for me before continuing, generate a full content strategy. Oh, I already said that. Phase 2 is when it actually does the thing, right? It has all of the context. It knows everything that I want to do. Now it's going to generate the actual 30-day action plan day by day. And then for each day, give me priority tasks and education for the best way to complete those tasks. And to continue on to the next day, I have to tell you exactly what I did and get feedback from you. So let's hit enter here. All right, so it read through that, it understands, and now it's building the personal brand coach prompt, and that should pop out here. And then what we can do after that is connect that to a new chat. So then that acts as our personal brand coach because it has the prompt inside of it. All right, so it just spit out the note for us, link to it if we want to open that. But we have the entire personal brand coach prompt here. Now, one interesting thing you can do inside of Eden is you can remove the paragraph spacing. This is one annoying thing about Markdown, is sometimes AI just writes Markdown with a bunch of spacing. So if you want to clean things up and you want to write cleaner, there you go. But the personal brand coach prompt, let's go through this really quick. The user wants to build a profitable personal brand in 30 days. Phase 1 establishes a strategic foundation, customer avatar, content topics. Phase 2 executes the 30-day action plan, so on and so forth. Instructions. I would just encourage you to read through this because reading prompts, it's like how reading a book helps you write better. Reading good prompts helps you create better prompts. And you start to pick up little ideas that you can guide the AI in creating your next prompt so they just get better and better over time. Now, I'll leave this part to you just because I don't want to waste your time as much as I need to. But what you would do is you would just drag here, create a new chat, and then just say, help me build my personal brand. And then it should guide you through it. Another thing I would encourage you to do, because inside of the 4C framework, we have context, clarification, creation. We're missing concerns, right? When you create a new chat inside of Eden and you use this create a prompt option right here, that has all of that covered, right? We're just doing it in a more manual step-by-step way, but you can just go straight into create prompt and then it helps you create it and it takes into account your blind spots. But what I would recommend you do is just type in here, what are my blind spots? Like, are there any assumptions that I'm making that could increase the quality of this prompt? And then you would especially do that when chatting with the personal brand coach prompt during each step. Now, the next thing I want to cover, just to make this a bit more educational, is just how to start a personal brand in general. And I want to provide another prompt over here that isn't a coaching prompt, but something that I created because I kind of know how to create a personal brand. I have a decent amount of followers on my YouTube and my Instagram and my X and so on and so forth. So what you need to start a personal brand is 1, a target audience, to a bio worth following, which can really be anything. And honestly, these two are the least important. I shouldn't have put them at the top. But the next thing you need is just a topic tree, right? Because you need content to write about. So for that specifically, rather than going about it randomly, especially at the start, I would have authority topics, growth topics, and authenticity topics. For authority topics, this is content about your expertise, right? You don't need these right off the bat, but if you eventually want to earn an income, that's, I'm assuming, what everyone wants to do here. So you want to earn an income in some way, nothing wrong with that. You need to have something to sell, right? You need a skill, you need an offer, you need something that you're good at that other people want to learn from you or just pay you for. But the thing about this is that authority topics or ideas are just going to get less engagement, but they're going to lead to more sales and loyalty. So that's why we need to balance this out, because if you go all in on authority topics, then you're probably not going to grow very much, but you may make some form of an income. But of course, the more of an audience you have while baking in the authority topics, then obviously you can probably make more money doing so. Growth topics are the ones that you see on YouTube or X or Instagram that are kind of following the trends, right? The trends go through these cycles. And I'm not talking about the mega viral, like pop culture, everyone in society knows about it trends. I'm talking about the niche trends. So in my case, on my main channel, it's like how to get ahead of 99% of people in 6 months. That was originally a tweet of mine years ago. Then I turned it into a YouTube video. Then it went pretty viral, like 1.6 million views. And then everyone started making a video with the same title, but with their own perspective, with their own take. And those also got a lot of views, allowing them to grow. So what you're trying to do with growth topics is you're trying to identify a certain topic or angle or idea that you can take and then make your own and provide your own opinion or perspective or novel insight on that thing so that it also does well, but it's also unique. And those are the things that are going to lead to the most growth. Now, the last one is authenticity topics, and this can be baked in a number of ways. Inside of a long-form newsletter or YouTube video, this can be as simple as just including a personal experience of yours anywhere inside of the newsletter or YouTube video. I like to start some of my newsletters off with just a personal experience of mine from the past. If I'm talking about how to get ahead of 99% of people, I can talk about a time where I wasn't that developed and my life was kind of shit at that point, and people resonate with that, and they're more likely to trust you because you're not just giving advice as a person who hasn't been there. So from those, all of those, you just want to write down all ideas that come to mind, right? We don't need to turn building a personal brand into something that is super templated and there's one specific way to do it. But if you were to do one thing, I would say that you need to have somewhere to just write down ideas nonstop. That is the main thing when I feel like I'm stuck in a rut in terms of writing content or newsletters, or I can't generate ideas. It's because I'm not writing down enough ideas. It's not a habit of mine. I kind of lose it. But once I continue to write things down, more ideas spring up, and then I feel compelled to write about it and post about it. And then from those ideas, those get turned into short form content. And if you're just starting out, you start with one platform like X, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. It really doesn't matter which one, just pick one. But I like to think of these short form platforms as testing grounds for ideas. So I post 1 to 3 times a day on Twitter, and then I take the best one and I put it on Instagram, LinkedIn, so on and so forth. And I also can sit in front of a camera and record my best tweets as reels. But then you've also validated ideas based on which ones did well and which ones didn't. And then you can turn those into long form content. And that's also, I think, should start on one platform like Substack, YouTube, or podcast. And then these just feed into each other. We're going to talk about this eventually in another video about just how to do this in general and how to cover all platforms in 1 to 2 hours a day. It doesn't have to take up your entire life. So all of this right here, I've baked in to this prompt, right? This is one that I personally wrote and ideated based on my own knowledge. So if you want, I guess, a strategy created kind of by me, or at least by my knowledge, then you can pop this into an AI chat and just chat with it and say, help me build a personal brand strategy. It'll start asking you questions, so on and so forth, and you'll be good to go. Now, what do you actually do with all of this, right? Because when it comes to building a personal brand, like the branding aspect is only one side of it. We can have the personal brand coach that guides us through, okay, what's our bio? What's our content strategy? Okay, I'm writing a piece of content today, help me write through it. But beyond that, like the act of building a personal brand is just putting ideas out every day and iterating on those ideas based on which ones did well and which ones didn't, and kind of being able to pivot and move with the fluctuations of the market or attention or culture. So if you liked this video, I know it's about branding. Branding isn't very practical in general, but if you want more specific videos on actual writing content, testing ideas, maintaining your taste and control over the AI rather than having it write all of your content for you without any say from you, then let me know and I will create videos on those. But until then, links in the description for resources from this video. And if you like these kinds of videos, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video and on my main channel if you aren't already subscribed to me there. Bye.